the enemy always wants you not to take the first step. Because once you get past that first step, you'll take off like a jet. But it's that very first step. And it's so amazing because I can use that same concept to myself in writing. When I have to write a long project or a long book review or a long essay or whatever, I have a thesis to write. My hardest challenge is the very first paragraph. Sometimes it takes me days. I may have all of the other pieces together, but if I can't get that first paragraph together, I can't pull the rest of it together. And that's always my hardest. And man, the minute I get the first paragraph, I take off. I'll write and write and write and write. Well, it's the same thing with our potential and our talents. If the enemy can keep you from taking that first step and stepping out for the very first time, he'll cause you to put that potential back down in the ground and bury it so that you don't go anywhere. So, here are those three things. Can you check on something in there because it smells like something was burning? We'll have to edit that little piece out if you can. Three things. The first thing both of them did, they stepped out. The second thing is they were willing to take risk. Now, when you start taking risks, you have got to believe God. Because if God allowed you to stir up that potential, told you what to do, you got to trust that God knows more about your potential than you do. And if he told you to step out, then trust him that he will guide you throughout the process. So don't be afraid to take risk. Now, I know that's easier said than done. But see, this is why you need to have a teacher that will continue to say the same thing. Continue to remind us to do the same thing. You see? And so then the last thing was they were diligent. They didn't stop. Once they started, they kept on going. Now, let me give this little tip. A little tip right here. When you dig up your potential, you have to know the difference in your potential being buried or it being set aside for the right time. And the only way you will really know that is that you've got to stay connected to the true vine, because he knows the right time. We are constantly guessing and wondering if this is the right time to do that. But when you stay connected to the true vine, you dig up the potential. You know what you need to do with it. Now you need to make sure that you do what you need to do with it at the right time. Don't allow people, because people don't know what's going on in your soul. People don't know how you're communicating with God about your potential. But people on the outside looking in will always try to dictate to you when you ought to do what you need to do with your potential. And when you start following people, you're subject to plant your seed in the wrong season. And then when nothing comes forth, you become discouraged and feel like, well, it wasn't worth it. I better not. There's no point in me doing this because I tried it and it didn't work. Then we go right back to what we talked about, experiences that make you not go any further. Okay? So those two did those three things. First one, they stepped out, they took risk, and they were diligent. And with those three steps, those two earned a profit to give back to the master. And when the master came, he was well pleased with those two. But now that third servant, who had potential as well, he was afraid to step out. Didn't want to take no risk. He said, no, I don't know. Them people planting their seeds and stuff, I don't know. sometimes the crow is gonna might come and eat up my seed, and I know if I put that seed out there and it get destroyed, the master's gonna be upset with me. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take my potential and I'm gonna bury it so I can make sure I have my potential when the master comes back. He was afraid to step out. He was afraid to take risks, and he certainly wasn't going to be diligent. And what happened when the master comes back? He said, oh no, what did you do? You could have at least did something with your seed. You didn't do anything. And he was cast away. We don't want to be like that. And so here in this session, I'd like to just ask you to think a little bit. What do you think? What do you think are some of the ways that even when you dig up your potential, and many times you start digging up the potential and get excited about, what are some of the things that come to bring fear and cause you to be afraid to step out? What do you think?
Too much work involved. That's
Too-
always my thing.
Too much work involved.
What else question?
What are some of the things after you dug up your potential and it's about time for you to take that step, to step out? What are some of the things that we become afraid of? And not just you individually, but in general. What do you think are some of the things that we become afraid of? And one of the things she said is that it's too much work involved. Okay. Now, I'm thinking about that as you said, too much work involved.
That's always my setback. That's what always stops me from doing whatever I'm doing.
And